Laugh it up, fuzzball.
You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
You're after something. Is it revenge? Money? Or is it something else? You look good. A little rough around the edges, but good.
Heard about a job. Big shot gangster putting together crew. I'm a driver, and I'm a flyer. I waited a long time for a shot like this. What do you think? Well, what do you know? You got a line on a ship?
Yeah, I know a guy. He's the best smuggler around.
I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true. Everything you've heard about me is true. L3! Let's go with a mean man's face. Who are these guys? If you come with us, you're in this life for good. You might want to buckle up, baby. Here they come! Let me give you some advice. Listen, everyone will betray you, and you will never be disappointed. I got a really good feeling about this. Since when do you know how to fly? 190 years old? You look great. Push it. So glad we took this job.
Well, you know, it had to happen. It had to happen. I had to go see... What does it just call it?
Han, a Solo story, a Star Wars story, a Disney story.
Merchandise story. But no, it's not a merchandise story.
No, they don't make any merchandise.
I just got back from Walmart because my SD card on my Zoom wasn't reading properly. Now it is, because I got a brand new one. Guess how many Star Wars toys they had?
Oh, just a bunch of Rogue One stuff.
They had a Black Series Dewback, which is, I think, 2 years old, and they had a Rose Tico for $4.
Oh.
They had nothing from this new movie. Zero. Like, the pegs were empty.
Even Target that had some pegs had, like, a NASCAR that looks like Han Solo.
And KSO for some reason. So, the cynical part of me says they only made this movie to sell toys. But the real part of me says, well, then where are the toys?
Where are the toys? There's none to buy.
Because if this was a ploy to put out a Han Solo movie to sell me the BMF, which is the big Millennium Falcon, which if you try to buy it in the secondhand market, it's $1,200, right, in the box. Loose, it's anywhere between $3 to $5, and then if you find it on eBay, you got to pay for the shipping. Now, it's a toy I really want. I was hoping they were going to bring it out for this movie because it's the most accurate. The cockpit holds 4 people, and instead, they decided, for some bizarre reason, to re-sculpt the Falcon completely. It's not the Force Awakens Falcon with a couple of pieces put on it. It's an all-new Solo, a Star Wars story Falcon that holds in the cockpit 1 figure and has no room in the back except for figures to lay down. Which we all thought would be a plot point, like you were saying we were going to find that they were smuggling people, like the Jack Sparrow story. Anywho, Luna and I went to see Solo, a Star Wars story, yesterday at the Block at Orange, or now it's the Orange Outlet, and we were going for the 11 o'clock show. Well, we got there, we discovered there was also a 10:30 show, and your mother rushed us over because why?
Well, we couldn't get a seat. Avengers, there's first row only by the time we got there.
By the time we got to the 10 a.m. showing of the Avengers, we were in the front row. Thankfully, the seats reclined, so you could flatten it out and just stare up at the screen. How many people were in this 10:30 showing of Solo, a Star Wars movie?
12.
About 12 of us, right? Enough that everybody had where they were seated, and then like a sphere, a circle of nobody. It was like like at a casino, you want like 3 or 4 machines between you and the next person, right? This was bizarre. There was nobody there.
There was nobody there.
Nobody there. For a movie that it's 2 hours and what?
I don't know the exact runtime.
25
It's close
minutes?
to 2.5.
2.5 hours.
I don't
We'll round
it's
up.
shorter than Avengers, I think, but still one of the longest Star Wars movies.
And they had the audacity to run, I clocked it, 24 minutes of previews before this thing started. And this bizarre running gag of the Grinch walking across the screen, commenting on how many trailers there are, not to talk, and then ultimately, it's Benedict Cumberbatch doing some accent, right?
I don't know what it
He's
is.
like, just start the show. And you're like, oh, good. And then the movie didn't start.
No, they played a different trailer.
They played more trailers. Now, I love trailers. But there comes a point where you're like, I have to get on with my day, and I can't until you actually physically start the movie I came to see. How many trailers do we get? 10?
It must have been 10.
At least 10.
More than there were people in the theater.
Oh, it was so ridiculous. So, right off the bat, we'll get into the plot specifics. What were your thoughts on this film?
So they're running a nail salon.
I was surprised. Yeah. We had to sit to the commercial for Claws twice.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, initial thoughts of Han and Solo, a Star Wars movie is...
yeah, your
better
side.
than Rogue One,
But that's not saying anything.
but it's not saying anything.
I consider Rogue One to be one of the worst
it's
plotted movies I've ever seen.
I think Solo is paced well. I could sit and watch it again and not fall asleep like I would through Last Jedi and Rogue One.
Yeah.
But
On a side note, I've tried to watch Last Jedi at home. You know I bought it. You saw me.
Yeah, I couldn't make it through
can't
it.
make it through the movie. Every time I put it on, I nod off and I go. It's like a sleeping
But
pill.
Solo is like someone sat down and wrote a well-paced Star Wars movie, and then someone else added all this junk onto it, and it's just bloated with junk.
Yeah, it's way too long. It's 2.5 hours of a story that should take 80 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, here's the rub to that. They could have told the story much quicker, and they could have given the characters more backstory and more to do. Instead, the characters just bumble along from one adventure to another.
There's no backstory for any of the characters because they're always assuming they can make that movie down the line. So they don't want to tell you.
Yeah, that's so irritating to me. And it's, okay, my thoughts on it before we get started are, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And I felt sort of meh, M-E-H, meh about it. And that's not how you want to feel about a movie that stars, arguably, one of my favorite cinematic characters of all time. I freaking love Han Solo. Now, I was a Luke Skywalker guy when I was a kid, but my friend Carl Harmon always put on his mother's black vest, and he was Han Solo to my Luke Skywalker. So, they were always together having adventures, right? Those two characters, how we do it? Same as always. That bad, huh? Like, that's great banter. This movie has none of that. None of the style of Han. They make him into this, what do you want to call it? He never falls from grace.
No, he always does the right thing, no matter what. He is always the good guy.
Yeah, that's weird to me because I told you right after it ended, I said, when he comes back, he leaves the rebellion with all the money, right? You got your reward, that's what you're getting out of here? Well, look around you. Wouldn't you two? Yeah, these people are about to die. Yeah, well, then when Han comes back, you're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home. You get out of your seat. You can see I'm all excited right now because Han Solo comes back to save the day. And what does Leia say to him? I knew there was more to you than money. Well, that's because he had a change of heart. Mm-hmm. He can't have a change of heart.
Now the change of heart happened 10 years ago.
He already did it.
Yeah.
He already did it. I don't get that.
And there was barely a change of heart. He was pretty much stayed to his goals the whole movie.
But what you're doing is you're taking imagine Han Solo as a sharp knife. This movie dulls him. Here's the thing, unless you were going to really go for it, the only outcome of this film was you're going to dull Han Solo. You're going to take away all the mystique of the Kessel Run and winning the Falcon and the dice. I mean, all the stuff that we don't need a backstory for.
When he mentioned the Kessel Run in New Hope, why didn't he mention the giant squid monster that they shot out of Black Hole?
Exactly, right? Exactly. So, this movie opens inexplicably with words on a screen. Hey, it's a movie. Star Wars has the crawl because they're setting up huge swaths of story. It is a time of civil war. Rebels from a secret rebel base.
World building, not character development.
Right. This one opens with Welcome to Corellia, where they build ships, which could have been, I've been on Corellia 5 years, kid. Been building that ship for 6. That doesn't make sense. Nothing on Corellia makes sense, kid. Right? Quick, fast movie dialogue. And I'll be goddamned if at the end of those cards, they turned it into a Disney movie. Mm-hmm. What was the line? You know what I'm talking. It was cringeworthy.
Han Solo wants to be a pilot.
It wasn't even that. Like, I get that but he's gonna tell us anyways.
Yeah.
But it was. And a lone figure looks to the stars to escape. It was like, I swear to God, it's the same. It looked like the tagline for An American Tale, Fievel. Yeah. That's how treacly it was. And there's one thing Star Wars isn't, is treacle, right? Even the Ewoks, you can call the Ewoks treacle. Some of them die on screen. There's Ewok deaths on screen. There were porg deaths on screen before they fixed it. This new thing about Star Wars of never offending anybody, I don't get. War is supposed to be offensive. This is a movie about the bad guys. Nobody in this film, spoiler alert later, nobody in this film is a good guy. They're all stealing from people who are terrible. Right?
Right, there's no top of the chain here. There's no good guy.
The people that we're watching are thieves who are stealing from even badder guys. Mm-hmm. So there's no good guys in it. Right?
No.
They're not stealing the unobtainium or whatever the hyperfuel space is. Hyperfuel is. They're not stealing it to save orphans, right? They're stealing it because they owe a debt to the guy, to the Vision, right?
Yeah.
So the movie opens with Han Solo in a speeder being chased by somebody.
Somebody, just doesn't matter.
Right.
Somebody.
And in a regular movie, we wouldn't know to root for this guy or not. Are we rooting for the police or are we rooting for the guy on the run? Well, he's Han Solo on the poster.
He's Han Solo, yeah.
All that work.
Well, he does kiss his girlfriend, so you know he's the good guy.
He's the good guy, right? So he executes all these maneuvers in what looks like a giant blue floating book, right? And let me make sure we're recording. Yeah, I got a new SD card. I've said that before. So he gets back somewhere. Then the movie turns into Oliver Twist.
Yeah, it's a bunch of orphans that are steal stuff to give to this big slug girl,
right?
So they can live in her little.
It's Oliver Twist. It's Fagin, and he's got some hyper rod thing that glows, right? Mm-hmm. It looks like it would give Doc Brown one jump.
He's got the tube of MacGuffin.
He's got the tube of MacGuffin, right? And it glows, so he puts it in his pocket, and it's still glowing. Like, he's the worst thief ever. So, you saw the Clone movie, right? This is the horrible Clone Wars movie.
The cartoon.
The cartoon one. The opening of the cartoon movie is that Jabba the Hutt. Excuse me. Zorba the Hutt has kidnapped Jabba the Hutt's son or nephew.
I think it's nephew.
Zorba the Hutt has kidnapped Jabba the Hutt's nephew, but he tells Jabba that the Jedi have kidnapped. So Jabba's after the Jedi, only with no proof, right?
Right.
So this movie opens the same exact way, where Han is dragged before this slug thing that looks like the third or fourth variation of Jabba that from my Making of Return of the Jedi book. I can show you the picture. And she's like, oh, Han, do you have the fuel? And he goes, no, didn't get it. Nobody got it. I don't have it. But I saved my life. And you're like, he didn't have any kind of plan like, I lost it, somebody took it, it got stolen by... Nobody has it. Like, I get that Han's supposed to be green, but even a green thief would have the wherewithal to lie properly, to save his life. And other than he wants to bang Amelia Clark, Quirrell, right? There's no motivation for why he's double-crossing this person who has saved him his whole life, right?
He wants off the planet is the end goal.
But that's it.
That's it.
In order to get off planet, he doesn't have a plan.
No.
We find out in a few minutes he has no plan to get off planet.
Even with the little MacGuffin tube, he has no plan
It's not like
how to sell it.
Right. He burns his bridge with this slug lady by opening the window. Because I was like, why is this movie so dark? Oh, because she's allergic to sunlight.
She's allergic to sunlight, which they didn't tell us.
Never tell us. So how he gets out of it is a way that we, the audience, are never going to clue in on.
There was an opening title card for her where they explained to her how she was in charge of these people.
Yeah, they explain that she's fake.
They don't explain her light thing at all. That's just out of nowhere.
No. You know, they don't go, she lives in the shadows because she's allergic to the sun. Nothing like that. We're left to our own devices.
It would have fit in right between... They drag him off to see her, and he could have said, oh, they're taking us down into her lair. She stays out under the light.
None of that.
No, it just cuts to them standing in front of her.
Right. And then...
They're already there.
And she comes up out of the water or something, right?
She has water and she comes out of, and then she has a ceiling to protect her that gets destroyed by a rock.
Yeah, I don't understand, right?
One thrown rock takes her down.
There's a scene in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, where Kirk and McCoy are on a prison planet, right? And this giant alien comes up to them and is menacing Kirk. And Kirk gets knocked to the ground. And he can only retaliate by hitting the thing in the kneecaps. And then the thing that gets hit in the kneecaps falls to the ground. And you're like, what's going on? And that's when Iman, who says, not every creature keeps their genitals in the same spot. You're like, oh, that's funny. Kirk got out of it by accident. Mm-hmm. This one is like...
No, Solo had information that we didn't have.
We didn't have it. Not even close to having it, right? Not even close to having it. And there's so many sequences, like you said, where they subtitle it where... Who does it matter what they're saying?
Yeah.
Like they subtitle, hey, go get him. And then they go get... You don't have to subtitle it.
If the guy with the angry pack of dogs points and says some gibberish, we get the idea.
We get it, right? It's like Sebulba when he goes, Boodle. We know he's saying OS, right? Because he's lost. There's no need to put it on the bottom, or does it say Bantha Fodder on the... I don't know.
I don't think it does.
It doesn't. There's no reason to, right?
I think it had subtitles.
So, Han and Quirrell, whatever her name is, they go to the intergalactic airport.
They go to the airport, yeah.
It's right out of The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
It's the airport scene for The Fifth Element, where everybody's trying to get on the transport, trying to be somebody else, and he bribes the official right at the gate.
Yeah, that's his job, is to walk up to the gate and say, hey, you want my MacGuffin tube? And then she opens the drawer for him to put it in.
Yeah, this person that we've never met before, he has no he doesn't go, look, remember what we talked about last week?
Right.
I got the thing. And then, oh my god, boom, hey, and then close the door, it was only for one. You didn't say that, well, it's too late now. No, instead it's like this, we'll go through at the same time, and this person's risking their job.
Yeah, it's very weird. It would have been great if he had set up with the Empire in advance to do this.
Well, wouldn't you? If you're trying to get off planet, you'd have a plan, right? You'd have a thing that you're going to stow away on that, here's... I'm not giving anybody a lesson in drama, but here's how it's supposed to work. The character has a plan. The plan sounds great. Nothing goes to plan, and the improvised plan works better than the pre-planned plan. That's how drama works. That's just how it works. So, oh my god. So, he can't get on a ship, he can't get to the Quirrell, so what does he do?
He joins the army through the join the army door that every airport has.
There's a section at the airport where instead of getting he's seeing people getting arrested right and left. You can either get arrested or you can join the Empire. It's ridiculous. And this is the first big red flag of the movie right
Remember
here.
Luke was making a big deal out of joining the academy? Apparently it's just a booth you walk up to and say, hey, I want to join.
You just walk up and join, yeah. I don't understand.
Why not?
Well, Uncle Owen wouldn't let him. But apparently there was on Tatooine, there was a recruiting station somewhere, right?
Somewhere.
With some guy, hey, you want to join the rebellion? What's your name, kid? And then he goes, Luke Skywalker. Skywalker, huh? Like Anakin? He's our boss. But the guy wants his name. And instead of going, like, I was expecting a throwback to James Bond. I was expecting, my name's Solo. Han Solo.
Yeah, like a big moment of the character reveal.
And then look at the camera. I don't know.
Which is where the title card should have been, and not at the beginning, very oddly.
Right. It should have been, what? How about this? How about this? Hey, kid, what's your name? My name? Boom. Solo.
Yeah, Solo.
He doesn't even say it. And instead...
I think the trailer did that.
Well, I think that's what we all wanted.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And instead, he doesn't have a last name. His name is only Han. And he goes, oh, so you're by yourself. You're Solo. Okay. This was written by Lawrence Kasdan and his son, John Kasdan. Sir, put your pen down. You're not allowed to write anymore. Are you kidding me?
So his name is Han, and he rode an airplane alone once. So his name's Han Solo.
Are you kidding me that the coolest guy in the universe got his name because, I mean, Solo means alone, and that's the beginning and the end of it? Oh, come on. That's so stupid.
He's Solo.
And I know, look, everybody's shaking their head. I know I'm reading way too much into this, right? I get it. But these are movies I have grown up with. And to see them slowly being taken apart and all the stuff that makes them cool. You know what I mean? Like, hey kid, you look strong enough to pull the ears off a Gundark. I don't ever need to see a Gundark to understand how cool that line is. Right? They do it in what, Clones, right? We fell into that nest of Gundarks.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. That's fine. So Han joins the Imperial Imperial forces?
Yeah, he joins the academy to be a pilot. And it cuts to 3 years later from the battlefield.
3 years later, and we get what could have been the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
If the movie had been an actual war movie where Han Solo sees the horrors of the Empire is doing, decides it's not for him, and that the rebellion's not for him either, then he strikes out on his own. There's a great movie, but that's not the movie.
He cracks some jokes and they shoot off into space together on a wacky adventure.
Pretty much. So, what happens is, he meets Woody Harrelson and, what's her name? Tandy Newton from Westworld. And they're not quite what they appear to be. And they're with some other guy who's definitely not what he appears to be. And instead, Han gets thrown in the brig, or in what we think is the Rancor pit.
Yeah.
Where he meets
Chewbacca.
He meets Chewbacca. Now, I know that they erased the expanded universe.
Right.
Lucasfilm did. I know that. But even a guy like me, who I read a bunch of those novels, I actually never considered them canon. Unless it's on the screen, it's not canon, right? Mm-hmm. But some things were just part of Star Wars lore from way in the beginning. Like, I knew after The Empire Strikes Back that Anakin Skywalker burned himself up with lava. That was printed somewhere. We knew that. What we also knew was that Chewie owed Han a life debt by saving his life from the Empire. Well, that didn't really happen in this. Chewie's being kept as some sort of punishment monster who's he's gonna eat him. I don't know.
Chewbacca regularly eats humans.
Is that what
stated?
That's happened.
They said it's been 3 days since we last fed him.
So Chewie's eating people.
He's eating people.
Why are we doing that to Chewie? Why are we doing that?
And we said like 190, so he's 200 in New Hope.
He's over 200, yeah, and he's eating people.
And he's eating people.
So again, we have what I told you this movie was going to be, and it turned out to be true. This movie is a paint by numbers with a checklist. And the checklists are, Han is a bad guy. Check. Han meets Chewbacca. Check. We have to have all. You ever hear Lawrence Kasdan talk? He talks like this. Okay, so Han has to meet Chewie, and then he has to get off Corellia, and then he has to get the Falcon, and then the dice. And what I think is what is also happening simultaneously is that they're checking off all the mystique. Mm-hmm. All the mystique of the movies are just being thrown down the toilet in service of... Now, if this movie had been fantastic, I'd be the first to tell you it was fantastic. I would be the first to tell you, like, oh my God, it blew me out of the theater, and all the stuff they did, I get it now. And instead, I just shrug and I go, meh.
Meh.
I can't think of a single moment in this movie that had me like, oh yeah. Like, even Last Jedi, when R2 plays the Leia hologram, I cried like a baby. That was a movie moment for me.
Solo must have had a reference every 5 minutes.
To something
none
else.
of them really resonated with me.
No.
They were all just, oh, okay. Okay, sure, why not?
I said it was Pop Vinyl the movie. Because it's just reference for reference sake. Like, the line where she goes, you brought this kid, we could have got Bosk. You're like, okay. Reference. We get Bosk. They referenced the video game, you said.
Yeah, she says she knows Tarek Sai Kung Fu. I think it was originated from like the old 80s novels and stuff, but most people know it because there was a PS1 fighting game that referenced it.
It was the first ever Star Wars fighting game.
I think it's the only.
It's the only one, right?
Yeah.
Masters of
Tarek Kai or whatever.
Yeah. So
had a sand person and a Wookiee and oh man.
So Han gets mixed in with these guys who they're gonna go rob a train and get a full shipment of this hyperspace fuel, which we know now is very valuable. And there's no scene where they go, okay, here's what we're gonna do. The train leaves here, it's here and there. They
have their binoculars, they just say we're gonna blow the bridge.
They just cut to it.
And they just do it.
That's what I'm saying. How does a movie, 2.5 hours, not ever slow down to show you what they're gonna do? They just do it.
They leave the war planet, and then it just cuts to them looking at the train. There's not a scene on the ship of him saying, all right, you're on the team now. Here's the job we're doing.
Nothing
we're
like that.
going down to this ice planet for the train. It's got this on it. No, they're just already there. Han's already part of the team, and they've already shared the plan.
When was the scene where they're at the campfire?
The campfire.
Because that was the only time they slowed down. The forearm guy...
Okay, that was after the binoculars and right before the train heist.
That's the only time they slowed down for any kind of character development. That Woody Harrelson and Tandy Newton are an item. The forearm guy is funny, and he gets Han to tell him he's doing it all for a girl. That's the beginning and end of the character development that we're going to see in this movie. Because everything else...
introducing so many new characters, there's no time to slow down and talk about the ones that there are.
But you can. You totally can if you do it right, you know? I don't understand, like...
They had the opportunities to, they just didn't. They didn't have the time
because
they thought.
In The Empire Strikes Back, he goes, Lando, and Leia goes, Lando system? No, he's not a system, he's a man, you know? He's a con man, a scoundrel. You're kind of type of guy.
No, this one they just cut. Oh,
I get it.
Here's this Lando. Go up to him.
Right. So they have this exhilarating sequence on a train where I think I turned to you and I said there's a point where it's the double-decker train and it's coming around the bend and their ship just drops out of the sky on top of the train. I'm like, there's no armaments on this thing or anybody going...
It's not protected at all.
They don't go, there's a giant spaceship about to land on top of the train. Like, are you joking?
It is never established who the train belongs to. There's no people attached to the train. It doesn't have protection. It doesn't have anything other than there's a train.
It's a fast train. It's basically, we're going to have an action beat, right?
Yeah.
And I would have given that, okay, fine, an action beat. We've got stormtroopers with magnetic boots. How do we know that? The camera, for some reason, zooms in on the boots.
Right.
Like, we get it. They've got big boots on with lights.
They don't zoom in on Woody Harrelson's little grapple hook he puts down on the train. It's just there, and then you just have to roll with the fact that he has that.
Well, not only that, but there were convenient hooks for all four of them.
Right.
To not only hook themselves, but the ship to take away the thing. Like it's like they made the train very easy to steal, and the only thing we get out of this whole sequence is that Tandy Newton dies.
Right.
She actually blows herself up
For some reason.
She doesn't ever go abort the mission.
This mission is that important that she's willing to die for just one of the steps in the plan.
She dies for it. And then Woody Harrelson never grieves. He's just like, yeah, we gotta move on. And I get, okay, he's a cold, callous guy, but you gotta have a scene where Han goes, what do you mean? We're gonna toast her. No, she's dead to me now.
Yeah.
Something that says...
There's nothing for either way. It's just ignored.
They just move on. There's going to be a novel.
There's going to be a novel or a comic book somewhere that explains how he set up her death by rigging her grappling hook to go wrong.
Again, everything will be explained later, right? And so then the forearm guy gets iced, so that Han can be the pilot.
He gets shot in the shoulder, kinda, and then that's just it.
Yeah, he gets what's called a movie wound.
Yeah.
The movie wound, either you smack it and go back to work, or you die from it. It's called a movie wound, right? So Han is now the pilot, Chewie and Woody Harrelson's character. I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah, it's just Han, Chewie, and Woody. The whole movie. That's it.
Okay, so they have to go to what's basically the Bonto Kanto casino from Last
Jedi. Now it's a yacht.
Now it's a yacht, and they have to explain to this guy that they didn't get the stuff.
They're mirroring the scene from the beginning.
What do you mean?
They have to go to the head guy and say, "Oh, we lost it. It was."
Oh right, yeah, it's the same thing, right? We lost the shipment because somebody named M4 Nest stole it. Somebody who rides like this motorcycle with all these flags on it and is supposed to be like the big bad...
Well, that one blew up before they could steal it.
Oh yeah, they blew it up. They blew the mountain up, right? But they didn't get it.
Yeah, no one got it.
Because of M4 Nest.
It's so that they can say to the bad guy, well, no one got it. Just like Han lied to the thing.
But now it's true.
Now it's true.
But along the way, he meets up with the girl that he left on Corellia.
She's just there on the yacht.
She's just because... Not only is she there on the yacht, but she's the second in command to Paul Bettany's character, and she's got a tattoo that says that her and him are going to get hitched.
Han's first job after ditching the Empire, and he finds his girlfriend like 5 minutes.
I know I'm so naive. I really thought he was going to go back and get her.
Right,
It didn't even occur to me that...
There was no reason for her not to be anywhere else.
It didn't...
Other than unless there's a ton of backstory they're going to choose just not to show us. Which is what they did.
Which is what they did, right? She just is like, well, I've done a lot of things. Well, we've only got 2.5 hours, Toots.
I kept waiting for that flashback, and we never got it.
We never got it. You're never going to get her flashback.
Another comic book somewhere. Another novel they're going to write. This
is not how you write deep characters. It just isn't. Okay, you remember Ratatouille? I'll always give you an example, right? If you're going to hold off on backstory until the last minute, Ratatouille's how you do it. Because the food critic comes into the restaurant, run by rats, that everyone is waiting to fail, and they give him this ratatouille dish. And what does the movie do? We go into Anton Egon's head, where he was a picked-on little boy, and the only thing that brought him joy was his mother's ratatouille. And when the camera pulls back out, and he's enjoying it and smiling for the first time, we freaking get it. This is why it is. Why am I giving a screenwriting lesson to the guy who wrote Raiders of the friggin' Lost Ark? See how angry it gets me? I just said the name wrong. It's Lawrence Kasdan, one of my favorite writers of all time. And I think what happened is what Austin said. They refuse to make complete movies anymore. Right. Everything's wait and see, next time, bull. I want a whole movie. Then set up the sequel. Are you kidding me?
No, everything in this movie was setting up a sequel and 3 or 4 novels they could write.
I'm calling ultimate BS on Lucasfilm for doing that to the fans. And I know there's a lot of people online that are like, hey, I thought it was great. I had a good time. It wasn't as bad as I thought. We have to demand better movies. Okay, you're going to screw up Rogue One? I don't care. Because I don't know anybody in it. Except the one character I do know, Darth Vader, doesn't talk in Schwarzenegger quips. Don't. What does he say? Don't choke on your own aspirations.
He chokes him.
Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine if that character had been in A New Hope? You know, your powers are weak, old man. Looks like you need a walker, Obi-Wan. Like, no, that's not how it works.
You got this whole movie of other characters, and if you want to give like one line to a classic character, and you don't get the character right. When you have one line to screw up, and you do it.
I don't get it. I don't get it. But when you're talking about a character like Han freaking Solo, you have to get it right. This movie should have been R. It should have been a risk taker. It should have been something that you walked down and went, man, I am changed. I saw something that really showed me why Han Solo is that guy sitting in the cantina. Did you see that in the film?
No.
Because I didn't.
It's the opposite.
The guy sitting in the cantina that Obi-Wan hires to take him to Alderaan is an SOB. He's a user. He's a con artist. And he's a murderer of Greedo. And that's why we love him. And this movie just takes all that mystique away.
Yeah.
In this one, spoiler, you know, if you didn't read the spoiler alert on the notes, he ends up helping this, what looks like 14 or 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Who turns out to be the leader of the...
It looks like the girl from Horizon Zero Dawn.
What?
Just some little girl.
Like the bad guy takes his helmet off and it's a young girl.
Right. Because she said that outfit's been passed down from her mother. This is something that multiple people have worn. It's a symbol.
I don't get it, right? I don't understand.
Listen, that little group didn't, like, paint on the wall the rebel symbol. So we didn't go that far. We don't have to get too mad.
No.
But it's just a dumb character.
But it still involved Han in an operation to help people.
Yeah, and there's no reason for her not to just kill Han.
No,
total upper hand in
kill
that
him
situation.
and take the...
They're there for the energy tubes.
The unobtainium. Just take it.
Just take it. If she sat down and had a drink with Han and talked about their past and monologue.
Yeah,
there's no reason.
No, because earlier in the film,
this movie just shoots him.
Earlier in the film, they were shooting to kill.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just ready to kill, and they did. They killed the forearm guy. Right? They killed him. So they've murdered people. That's just put off. That's fine. Whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So Han goes in to meet the Paul Bettany leader of the underworld, Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn. Oh boy, it's again my favorite scene in one of my favorite scenes in True Lies is they're sitting down and he goes, "This is so and so." They call him the Sand Spider, and the other guy goes, Why do they call him that? And the other guy goes, well, because it sounds scary. Like, that's really funny, because they don't know.
It's like the Clone Wars cartoon naming conventions. They had the Death Watch and the Night Sisters.
Yeah.
So Crimson Dawn fit right in there.
And Paul Bettany probably comes out of the movie most unscathed. He has some sort of lightsaber daggers.
He's got twin lightsaber daggers that are double-sided.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's really good at swinging them around.
And he's got a magic ring that is the same as her tattoo. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, he has a whole room full of artifacts.
Oh, no!
That inexplicably reference Raiders of the Lost Ark and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. He has an actual crystal skull, which gets blown up, and then sitting on one of the tables is the fertility idol from Raiders, which... It's not subtle. That's not a subtle prop.
Constantly in focus in shots.
And the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my god, that's the fertility idol, but we'll never see it again. And then we saw it at least 30 more times in various shots and in various scenes that take place far from each other. Mm-hmm. Like, who put that on the set? What are they thinking?
Well, they thought they got to the villain's room. And we're like, oh, he's going to have all this stuff. This is our chance. This is the reference room. We can put whatever we want on his little desk.
Because they also had a Boba Fett Mandalorian armor.
There's a full set of Mandalorian armor, yeah.
Oh my god. So they convince this guy that, please don't kill us. we'll get you all the unobtainium that you want, all the hyperspace fuel from the spice mines of Kessel, and we'll get it back. But like he goes, well, if you take it from the spice mines, it's very unstable. So you only have X amount of minutes or whatever to get it here before it blows, or whatever it is, right? Well, that's great, because that's what George Lucas always said is the time lock. Once the time lock is on, that's where you get tension. Once the Death Star orbits Yavin to destroy the Rebel base, they've only got 12 minutes or so before somebody's dead, right? I almost wish there had been a timer on the screen, because
they didn't play up the timer enough. It's barely mentioned.
They mention it, and then it just is part of the plot that's in the background.
It's an excuse to make another reference.
But why isn't there a timer on it that's like counting down?
There's like a little red to green meter. We're not sure which side is good and where it's counting towards.
Yeah, so
they don't show it very often.
In order to accomplish this, they need the fastest ship in the galaxy. And this is where Lando makes his appearance. Now, a lot has been said about Donald Glover's performance. He's doing a pretty good Billy Dee impression. Mm-hmm. He's a good actor. He's a good performer. I don't see anything in this movie where he shines.
No, they didn't give him the time.
He only has a handful of scenes. Now, he doesn't screw them up.
No, he did great with what he was given to work with, which wasn't much.
But is that our barometer for greatness? I mean, Judi Dench was in Elizabeth for like 8 minutes and got an Oscar. Mm-hmm. Now, she was in Shakespeare in Love as the Queen for 8 minutes and won an Oscar. That's making the most of your time. This is just another character.
Yeah.
He's just... And we like him because, again, the minute he shows up, it's Lando Calrissian. Now, we know Lando.
You know him already.
We know him already. It's not like a new character that we're growing to love, because I really grew to love the four-armed guy before they iced him. Mm-hmm. And Lando, for some reason, has got the most insufferable droid with him of... This is the worst cinematic creation from Star Wars since Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
She's so annoying and grating and so in your face as... I mean, they should have just called her Twitter. Right? Her name should have been Twitter, because that's what she was. Running up to the droids fighting going, they're only using you! Like, honey, you guys are robots.
They're robots.
I get that they program you with impersonating human feelings, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if she had looked like a human and was doing this, I might have got...
But then you don't get the joke about her dating Lando.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
If she looks too human, that's not funny then.
She looks like a Roomba on legs. And she actually makes a reference that her and Lando are having sex.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
And Quira's like, how does that work? And she's like, oh, it works. And like, that's the joke. What?
There's no joke there.
Oh,
that's not a joke. That's... I don't know what that is. But, okay.
It's a Jar Jar tier joke.
Here's the thing. And I'll put my money where my mouth is. You know I will. Because there's all this thing that John Kasdan said Lando was pansexual, which means he will sleep with anything. Hey, that's great. Then guess what? I want a scene where Quira walks in on him and the robot in bed together. They don't have to be doing anything, but they just have to be sitting there, and she goes, and then Lando goes, hey, how you doing, sweetie? It's Lando, right? Hey, how you doing? And the robot goes, we're a little busy here. And Quira just goes, oh my God. Like almost a scene out of The Office,
but
right?
The problem is you get the same joke, but as a throwaway line of dialogue instead of a real situational humor.
Right, but Lando's not involved in it in any way.
Lando's not even there. Lando's off somewhere else.
For all we know, she's full of crap.
Yeah.
Because up until this point, every line out of her mouth has been full of crap. He turns to her and goes, I'm going in the back. Can I get you anything? And what does she say?
Equal rights.
Equal rights.
I guess for robots she's implying?
What does this mean? Why are they injecting this into Star Wars?
I don't know. The worst part is that if you are going to do some kind of metaphor or allegory for like that in a Star Wars movie, just do it and not like imprint it onto robots. Like just have an alien species and that's the deal. But
make it
with
count.
Robots, it's pointless.
Make it count, right?
If you're going to do that plot, which is still why
stupid.
why would you do that plot? But if you're gonna do the equal rights plot, make it count and do it serious. But don't make it the Gawk droid.
Right, no. If you're going to do it, then freaking have it's called payoff. Mm-hmm. Again, Marty McFly wants to play rock and roll. Marty McFly invents rock and roll at the band. He doesn't pick up the guitar and we go, oh, Marty can play the guitar. No, we go, oh my God, remember he plays the guitar. He wants to be in a band. We know this is a thing. Well, so if you're going to give L3, 3-7, this weird, I need to have equal rights, then you know what? They need to walk into a bar where the bartender goes, your droids will have to wait outside, like Whirr does, and she smacks him across the face, right? Make it count. So then when she's sitting outside under arrest, she turns to Lando and goes, still worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's called setup, payoff.
It's all jokes.
This is all one-line jokes.
It's all played for humor.
And it's meant to do what?
I don't know.
Is it an analogy for women's rights, gay rights, trans rights?
I guess it's all rights.
What is it?
Because they don't ever pick one.
No,
it's
they don't.
Just generic rights.
Because
another big problem.
The only group that robot fits in for me is liar, because she's lying about sleeping with Lando. Don't be ridiculous. Unless you're going to show it.
Yeah.
And if Lando's pansexual, that's great too, because Captain Kirk is. Mm-hmm. Kirk will sleep with any alien woman. It doesn't matter. So
but they show it.
Right. Show Lando in bed with a plant.
Yeah.
Like a green plant that's like caressing his head. I mean, this would have been their chance to really have some fun. And every time we see Lando,
it could have been Guardians of the Galaxy.
It could have been right.
And
that's what you said, and I totally bowed to him for that.
I would have been totally okay with them ripping off Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, because Guardians ripped off Star Wars. It's a circle now.
But they didn't.
It's all the same company.
They kept a really weird thing where the jokes are more subtle, and the whole movie is jokes. Nothing's played serious.
Yeah, no, it's all references. We get the chessboard, boss. They mentioned that Woody Harrelson killed Aura Singh, which is a character that doesn't even appear in the movie.
She's on the DVD release of Phantom Menace.
That's unbelievable. And she's had 3 or 4 toys made because of that cut scene. Like, what's going on? And then we get to the spice mines of Kessel, where again, there's no plan to steal the unobtainium or whatever it is, right?
Their plan is to copy New Hope, where they go and fake as prisoners to the control room and they talk on the intercom and stuff.
Right, and it wasn't like they put the handcuffs on Chewie and then we tore him off. Chewie goes, "Rawr," and Han goes, "Well, I promise you that'll never happen again." Right? There wasn't anything like that. They're just echoing what's going to happen to them a couple years later.
Yeah.
For no...
Just because.
Just because, right? I don't understand.
I won't mention it.
But again, it wasn't like Quirrell turned to... I said Quirrell like Harry Potter. Quora, it wasn't like she turned to...
Quora from Tron.
Right. It wasn't like she turned to Han and said, I'll pretend to be an administrator. You'll be prisoners that we'll train. Nothing. They just show up.
Just give a shot of them in the Falcon digging through Lando's stuff and they find handcuffs. And they're like, oh, now we can use this.
What? So, when they get to... Okay, what we've been told is the most valuable thing in the universe. Am I correct?
Yeah, and it's got how many guards?
1 guard.
1 guard.
1 door. No, I mean, the Rebel plans at least had a claw machine you had to solve to get to it. Right? This is 1 guy in a helmet, and I just was like, this is the most sloppy heist movie ever.
Solo kicks him in the crotch, and then it cuts to Woody Harrelson in the control room going, oh, nice one, kid.
Is
that a joke, or is that just dialogue?
It's just filler. It's like when Red Letter Media was talking about Ghostbusters. Never let the movie sit. Mm-hmm. You always have to have somebody quipping or somebody yelling. I mean, the movie's just full of this,
right? It was
right?
almost the Spaceballs door scene where he does the fake Vulcan nerve pinch.
Oh yeah, no, do it right here, yeah. But then it really was Spaceballs.
Oh yeah.
There's a couple of shots where Chewie is carrying the luggage that you said it and I went, oh my God, you're totally right. It looks like Spaceballs. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, in a Star Wars movie, I should never be... I mean...
Right.
Last Jedi had a Hardware Wars reference, man, with the iron.
The iron.
Like, are you joking?
Well, both Last Jedi and Solo have some parts and some raunchy jokes that I think stoop lower than Spaceballs in places.
It's
really weird.
What's the example?
Well, like all the equal rights robot stuff.
Oh yeah,
feels like a Spaceballs joke.
Yeah, it sure does.
And
because Dot Matrix is like that, right?
Yeah, and Poe doing the Yo Mama joke to Hux feels like a Spaceballs joke.
Oh, you can imagine
that feels
right?
like, are you Colonel Sanders? Are you chicken?
Yeah, it's exactly what it was, right? So they end up getting the stuff and having a standoff with M4 Nest. M4 Nest is revealed to be a young girl. Han just gives it to her, right?
Yeah, they have a drink at the little bar.
They pretend to give it to her.
Right.
Right.
Well, they've got a triple cross going on because they're predicting Woody Harrelson 2 steps above him.
Yeah.
They're predicting that 1, he'll try to leave, and 2, he'll try to leave and not actually leave.
Yeah, again, movie reference. There's a movie called The Game, which I really like, where Michael Douglas is pushed and prodded so much that he jumps off a building to kill himself. And he goes, spoiler alert, you're never going to see this movie. I love this movie. He lands through a candy glass window and onto an airbag. And you're like, how did they know? Like, oh my God, they saved him. And they go, we did a full psychological evaluation on you. You did every test, we know everything about you. Like, oh yeah, there it is. Well, they don't know this Woody Harrelson character from Adam.
They've talked to him like 20 minutes total over their adventure.
The predictions that they make are like Kreskin, man. They know exactly every move everybody's going to make in the end. So that at the end, Han is never at a loss. Mm-hmm. He always seems in control. And for a movie that's purported to show how he got to be a smuggler, he sure didn't need much training.
No. Well, he got a lot of training in 2 years in the academy they didn't show us a moment of.
Which we didn't get to see.
Because somewhere in the middle of the movie, they mentioned that he was thrown out of the academy after 2 years and then went into infantry. Which, they don't mention that right off the bat in the 3-year jump.
Yeah.
That's just somewhere down the line, a throwaway line of dialogue.
Like you said, it's just lost in the dialogue. Which, I guess if the movie's going to be a fast-talking type of movie, but it's got action in it where... you got to tell us what's happening. Mm-hmm. Why are we doing this? What's going on? Who's on whose side, right? Because in the end, Quora, whatever her name is, double crosses him.
Right.
And he ends up, what? With nothing, right?
With nothing.
He ends up with nothing.
Him and Chewie are stranded on the desert planet. Jump cut to him and Lando on a forest planet.
Right, so... Then we get the...
Because Lando ditched him too earlier.
Everybody ditches him. But he tracks Lando down just so that he can play one more game of Sabacc and win the Falcon, because apparently that's what we need in the movie, right? But we're missing that key thing that turns him into Han Solo. Mm-hmm. Because there's no story arc. Han starts out, according to the title card, as a starry-eyed dreamer, looking to the stars. And at the end of the movie, he's the same guy.
Yeah.
Nothing has hardened his heart. He's still cracking jokes. And what we're missing is, in the hero's journey, we're missing the loss. Now, he does shoot Woody. He shoots Woody Harrelson, right?
Because we're supposed to have an emotional connection to Woody Harrelson.
Which we don't. Zero.
Because they didn't spend a moment on his dead girlfriend. So we didn't care about him emotionally.
He didn't ever sit with Hal having a drink going, the reason I do this, let me tell you.
Yeah.
You know, my mother was raped. My mother was murdered by the Imperials. So my life has been in something, right?
Just anything.
Again, movie reference, Saving Private Ryan. They spend 2.5 hours trying to figure out what Tom Hanks does in the real world. But he won't tell them because it's none of their damn business. And then when they're faced with death, he goes, me? I'm a teacher. And they, like, oh, well, that totally explains everything. But that moment is held off until we need it as the audience. Because these boys aren't getting out alive, right? And it's Han Solo movie, everything's a big joke. Even the deaths are a big joke. And Daenerys, Quirrell, whatever her friggin' name is, she should have died.
Yeah.
She should have died backstabbing Han and him having... Okay. Again, he does... Captain Reynolds, Malcolm Reynolds does it in Firefly. No, better reference, because Firefly's too easy. Total Recall. Arnold Schwarzenegger's got a gun pointed at his wife, who he knows if he doesn't kill her, she's gonna kill him. But he's tormented because that's the love of his
You don't
life.
get that much emotion in this movie.
This is Arnold Schwarzenegger I'm talking about. And she goes, "You won't shoot me, I'm your wife." And he puts a bullet in her head and he goes, "Consider that a divorce." Right? But there's that moment of, what would you do if you know your wife, if you don't kill, she's got a knife. She's going to stab him in the friggin' face if he doesn't kill her. And that's what this movie was missing. And I know it's a kid's movie, turn off your brain, popcorn this, popcorn that. But we're talking about Han Solo, a character that we know, and we want to see why he becomes the guy that he becomes. And we don't ever see it because he never makes that sacrifice.
They wanted to mirror Greedo with where he learned to shoot first, and they wasted it on Woody Harrelson, a guy we didn't care about.
Didn't care. He could have just walked away.
At least love interest, even without backstory, has a small amount of emotional baggage just on being love interest.
Imagine at the end, she runs to him, right, and kisses him, and like, thank God you killed the Paul Bettany character.
By that point, he knows.
And he knows she's the backstabber.
Yeah.
And as he kisses her, he shoots her in the chest.
Yeah. It'd be great if he figured it out before she knew that he figured it out, so he'd have to do it without that moment.
There's no moment, right? It's in an embrace. He has to shoot her. And then she looks in his eyes, and he's like... And then when she falls, you see she's got a gun.
She's got the knife. The lightsaber knife.
Oh, that would have been so freaking satisfying. Like, oh my God, I get it.
They did the whole him staring at the camera with the ship out of focus. Oh, ship comes into focus and then flies off.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And if that were the movie ended, it would be mediocre. But they need to throw one more log on the fire. So they cut to her in the penthouse with the fertility idol. And she puts the magic ring. I don't think you heard me in the theater. She puts the big ring on, and she walks over, and I went, "In blackest night." I mean, it's just like Green Lantern, right? And she sticks the ring in, because that's the phone.
Right.
And who does she call?
She calls Darth Maul.
She calls Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
What? I don't understand. What is Darth Maul doing in this movie? Other than reference. And I know you're going to tell me cartoon stuff, right?
It makes sense given the cartoon. In the cartoon, Darth Maul is resurrected by the Night Sisters and his nephew, and becomes the leader of a crime gang. And they run Death Watch, the Mandalorians, which is why there's Mandalorian armor in the room. Mm-hmm. And eventually, in those other cartoons, he eventually ends up leading Crimson Dawn. Which is, it's in the name, Red, Crimson, which is he's red, is his gimmick. Mm-hmm. And,
he's got robot legs if you look close.
Robot legs.
Because a lot of people are asking, how can he be there? Because this movie takes place long after episode 1.
Right. If it was a reveal worth revealing, it would have been fun. And they did leave the right clues. They had the symbol on the ring and the burn mark, which looks like his saber hilt, the round one. Yeah. And they had the dual lightsaber daggers, the small ones.
Oh, they meant Duel of the Fates.
They just like Duel of the Fates, the music.
Yeah.
But the whole movie, the bad guy has red on his face, and he's got the dual daggers.
But does he turn his lightsaber on for some reason?
Well, yeah, because we got in his business call with his new mercenary girl, he stands up, turns his lightsaber on, and then ends the call.
What?
Don't you ever have a Skype call with your friend? Right before you turn it off, you draw your sword out, and then you turn it off to show off your sword?
Again, I always say on the show, you got to review the movie you got, not the movie you wanted. But there's certainly a case to be made for... I mean, she does take off. Mm-hmm. They could cut to anywhere.
Yeah.
And imagine she looks up, and you hear clank, 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 and you just hear him talk. And at the very end, she turns, and it's Darth Maul for the last shot of the movie. Like, okay, that's a little more dramatic, but, like, he's a hologram.
She calls him up on Skype.
It looks like a video game. Oh, it's so stupid.
The magic ring just...
Hey.
It's like Siri just calls one of his contacts. It's why does he need a ring for that?
I applaud Disney acknowledging the prequels happened.
Right.
I totally get that. That's fine. I get that they want to pull arguably the most popular character from the prequels and put him back in the movies. Hey, that's great. But... for God's sake, do it with some style. Have him show up and or how about this? He shows up, he goes, you failed me, and he kills her.
Yeah, because that's the thing with the movie is that if someone fails you, just kill them because they're always going to stab you back. And
Right.
It's going to turn out horrible in the
It's
end.
kill or be killed. And instead the movie ends with Han getting the Falcon and putting his dice up on the rearview mirror, which when he put him on the rearview mirror of the flying book, I said, you're looking at the end of the movie too, because that's exactly what he's going to do.
Now, do you want to tell me why he has those dice?
Why does he have those dice?
I don't know. It wasn't in the movie.
Oh, you have no idea. It could have been a keychain. I don't know.
I'm legit asking you.
He doesn't go
Sabak doesn't use dice. That's what we always assumed. The Sabak had dice.
We thought those were the dice he won the ship with.
Yeah.
We also know that George Lucas only put the dice there because 50s cruisers had the dice, right? We get
It wasn't
that.
supposed to mean anything originally. Then the 80s novels added on that he won it in a game of dice.
Yeah.
And that's cool. He keeps the things he won.
Sure.
But now he has the dice as a kid on
Long
Corellia.
before. And it's not like an Annie thing where he goes, they found me in the streets with only this. Right?
Yeah.
There's none of that.
It says I'm a prince.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm an honest-to-goodness prince. So, yeah, here's the thing. If you like the movie, good. That's great. Hey, you should like the movie. It's a well-crafted, expensive-looking movie. I get it.
It's the most watchable Disney Star Wars. It's the best paced, but it just doesn't have anything in it.
It's because they didn't have to hang their hat on anything.
Mm-hmm.
The sky was the limit for this one. Other than him getting the Falcon, everything's on the table. You can do anything you want. I get that. Nothing wrong with that. I think it was a missed opportunity that could have had a lot more. The stakes could have been higher. The tone could have been a lot darker. I know it's Ron Howard, so that you get what you get. And I know that the other directors were even lighter in tone. I totally get that. But if you were ever going to let Quentin Tarantino direct a Star Wars movie, it would have been this one.
Should have been Han Solo.
It would have been about a badass smuggler. And like I said, it was a pretty mediocre Star Wars movie, but it was a really good episode of Serenity.
Yeah.
Of Firefly.
If you take Han Solo out, and it's just about a guy in the Empire who defects when he sees how horrible the war is and has an adventure,
rock and roll.
Fun.
Absolutely.
The villain is really James Bond-like. He could have been great.
I agree with you 100%. The problem is you add that Han Solo moniker to it, and you've got expectations. And they're high. It's friggin' Han Solo. And anybody who bet on the Harrison Ford cameo at the end was sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
Or that it was going to end with him walking into the cantina.
Yeah, I know.
Which they didn't do any of that. And it wasn't the story of him dumping the cargo for Jabba.
That's another movie somewhere.
Yeah, that's what scares me.
He's going to meet Jabba and then do the job where he drops the cargo and all that.
I don't need any more of these. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I'll take a few more of these if they're fast like this one. Because Last Jedi was 5 months ago.
Yeah.
So if they want to put out episode 19 and then 5 months later put out a Han Solo movie...
This is a great way to do a cheaper side series between the big movies.
No problem with that. I would actually even go see a sequel.
Rogue One being held as a big Christmas event is what ruined it. If they released it like this one, it would have been a little better.
Isn't that weird? How it works that way? Mm-hmm. The expectations really do factor in. Oh well. Well, thanks for going to the movies and watching Solo, a Star Wars story. I'm not going to be buying it. I have no need to see it again. If it was on Netflix, I might watch like the train sequence again.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't sit down and watch it again.
No.
It just wasn't that good.
You've come not to expect special features in these Star Wars movies.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You get a little documentary and then pat themselves in the back.
Unless they're going to talk about the firing of the other guys. I'm not
Oh yeah, they won't. They'll show you the little puppet of the guy in the jar they show for 2 seconds singing on the yacht.
Oh, I know. So silly.
And the obvious puppet that they built for 2 seconds of shots.
Guys singing.
So that in a documentary somewhere they can show it and say, oh, we love practical effects.
Yeah, look how practical it is, man. It's amazing. And like, there's toys of all those devil dog things. Mm-hmm. I barely even remember them in the movie. Like, they're hardly in the film.
They're opening battle sequence, which is all you get toys of because anything else is spoilers.
Yeah, it's all spoilers.
You get a Denny's trading card of the lobster that's sitting next to Lando at the card game. He doesn't have dialogue, but he sits next to Lando.
Hey, when I was a kid, the first Return of the Jedi figure I saw was Squidhead. And I thought, I am buying that guy because he's a major character. And then when I saw the movie the first time, I didn't even see him. Yeah. I'm like, where's that character I spent $3 on? I don't see him. So
the skiff guard outfit that Lando reuses for every job.
God almighty, that was so dumb when he walked out wearing, of all things.
That's a disguise that Lando keeps in his closet and like uses for all his missions.
How is it a disguise and everybody knows you wear it? It was a weird gag.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense.
That's a weird gag. I don't understand. Oh well. Anywho, well, congratulations Disney, the continuing downward spiral of the Star Wars franchise.
Disney, you made an adequate Star Wars movie.
I have to say,
which is saying a lot.
Yeah,
after Rogue One,
it's an adequate Star Wars movie. I have to get up early tomorrow, so I got to go to bed early. So I'm going to put on Last Jedi and go right to sleep.
Right to sleep.
So. This is Jeff, the voice of the show, with
Luna.
And together we are the sad solo story of 91 Reasons.
Thanks for listening to 91 Reasons. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Is anyone even still listening?
Traveling through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, boy.